You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, you never know when black ice will strike during winter weather. Lonnie Walton shares a few tips to help you keep you and your loved ones safe while traveling.
Also, warming centers are opening their doors as freezing temps move through. We'll hear how these centers help their communities.
And it is bitterly cold to start the day. In fact, we have a number of closings out there as well. I bet some of those are probably related to the cold weather. We'll have a look at that forecast to get you out the door. Coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It is just after 7 a.m. on this Monday morning. It is... I'm going home. I'm hibernating. I'm done with this day. I was done with yesterday, apparently, too. Oh,
it's okay.
Gosh. It's Tuesday.
I'm back. So
January the 7th. I don't know where I'm at right now. But one thing, okay, now that I'm collected again, we talked about it yesterday, possibility of black ice. Hasn't been as significant of an issue this morning, but it's still something you got to be careful with.
Absolutely. Well, as temperatures drop, you should be aware of the potential of black ice, as Chris mentioned. Now, AAA of Missouri wants to remind drivers to take extra precautions when navigating those icy roads.
KOAM's Lonnie Walton talks with an expert on how to drive safely during slippery conditions.
As a South Dakota farm boy, this ain't cold.
Paul Jacobson is a traveler who's passing through the 4 states. He says he's used to this kind of driving. He has lots of experience.
People are upset driving ice, and then you should go remedial driving school, in my opinion.
Well, we don't have a remedial driving school, but we have an expert from AAA who says black ice can be hard to spot.
One of the problems with black ice is you typically can't see it until you're already going over it, until you're already starting to feel your vehicle lose control.
So what should we do if we hit that black ice without notice?
Continue to look where you're trying to go and continue to steer that way. Your vehicle is more likely to right itself and regain traction than if you're wanting to kind of go the opposite way and fight where you're going.
And along with the other tips we just mentioned, most drivers say they just want other drivers to just slow down.
You just have to really slow down, take things easy. Don't drive too fast because that's safer.
Go slow, take your time.
And slowing down is good, but just don't slam on those brakes.
To avoid slamming on your brakes, that could create your vehicle to slide further and resist it from regaining traction on the roadway.
And lastly, Jacob says for him, all this knowledge is just secondhand.
This is common sense, and if you don't have common sense, you're going to have problems. That's my opinion.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Now, Jabaria says you should also leave extra space between cars, especially during heavy traffic.
Some of that's just great advice under any situation, because even rain can make the road slick. But black ice, we talked about it yesterday, though, but one of the biggest dangers with it is the reason it's called black ice is because it freezes over the road and then you can't see it.
Yeah.
You can't see it until you hit it. And so that's why you've always got to be cautious out there.
Certainly.
And road conditions have significantly improved this morning. Black ice this morning, not as big of a concern as we thought, but still, rural roads and side roads, you want to watch out because some of that stuff could have refrozen last night. Let's look outside. It looks absolutely gorgeous outside in downtown Pittsburgh. Look at that. Beautiful sunrise, just a few clouds. Roads look pretty clear, but it doesn't feel all right. I don't recommend going outside unless you absolutely have to. MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. Now, it's looking back to these. It's got another great view of that sunrise. The roads have cleared significantly. And like I said, we didn't have as much melting concerns yesterday. And so there's not as much refreezing. But especially get into those back roads and side roads, there could be some slick spots. So you definitely want to slow down out there this morning. Into the afternoon we go. Clear skies, plentiful sunshine, the warm temperatures, though, not in abundance as we are going to stay cold heading into the afternoon hours out there. One piece of the good news is it won't be nearly as windy. Still, though, even a light breeze is enough to bring temperatures or those wind chills down a bit as we head into the afternoon hours. And maybe a stray cloud or two overnight, but I think for the most part, we are looking at clear skies as we go overnight tonight. We are sitting at 10 in Joplin and 7 in Pittsburgh. Such wonderful numbers. And we've got this sharp divide here. Look at this bigger area of very cold temperatures. So if you just stretched out I-44 in a straight line, if you're northwest of that zone, single digits out there. And a number of schools, especially within this cold air zone here, have canceled classes today. So make sure you're checking before you head out the door. Hopefully you've looked by now. You're not like waiting at the bus stop going, where's that bus? Because it's not going to show up for some of these districts. It is very cold. You get a little further south, it's a little warmer. We're actually even at 20. Grove and Jay, you've been sitting at 20 all morning. The light breeze, though, as I mentioned, with cold air is just enough. You head out west, look, it feels like 4 below in Iola, 1 below in Chanute Yates Center, 0 in Independence. So it does make it feel a little bit colder. Today, highs upper 20s, skies clearing. Great looking day, just not a great feeling day. Now, it's going to be a copy and paste day tomorrow. We could even skip tomorrow because it's the same thing as today, but then snow's on the horizon. We're going to talk about that potential snow in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Police in Aurora, Missouri averted what could have been a deadly situation. Authorities say a man entered the lobby of the Aurora Police and Fire Facility Sunday night armed with a handgun, then placed the gun to his head, threatening to shoot himself. They say he also pointed the weapon at officers who were behind bullet-resistant glass and repeatedly asked to be shot. When officers refused, the man stormed out of the lobby, then returned without a gun. Police have subdued him with a taser. No word yet on formal charges. Authorities are investigating the cause of an early morning structure fire in Kendricktown, Missouri, just north of Carthage. Crews found smoke and flames coming from a large commercial building, which used to be a semi-truck wash. Now, despite the 12-degree temperatures, crews managed to control the fire in less than an hour. Carthage Fire confirms 1 injury. They say a man tried to put out the fire before firefighters arrived and suffered burns to his head. He was taken to a Joplin hospital. With the temperatures across the 4 states dropping to their lowest so far this winter, emergency warming centers and shelters are opening their doors. KOAM Samantha Walker spoke with 2 warming centers about how you may be able to help as they work to keep their communities safe.
The van's out right now picking people up.
The Joplin First Church of Nazarene typically opens its shelter every Tuesday and Thursday, providing things like showers and a change of clothes. But when area overnight shelters open up, the church becomes a warming center from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so people will have a place away from the below freezing temperatures.
We're driven to go out and bring people in. My husband right now, he's out on the trails bringing people in because they need to come in and get warm. And so I just want to make sure that everybody would be safe this winter.
In Miami, the Oklahoma Emergency Response Team has turned the First Christian Church into a 24/7 warming center. The organizer says the need for the resource is evident within their street citizen population.
Under our bridges, in our parks, even storage sheds. We have a lot of people that are living there. And the temperatures right now are just at a point at night, especially where it's just not safe to be out without any type of protection. One person that came in was in shorts and a t-shirt with the temperatures at the way they were.
While some warming centers like public libraries are open to the public during their regular business hours, these 2 sites offer more resources, such as showers, clothing, and hot meals. But those extra services mean they need extra support.
Food. We need food desperately, and gas for the van, of course, because we're running constantly.
Towels are always a big demand. Socks, even jackets and coats, things like that are always in high demand.
Another way to help at both sites is by being a volunteer, something they can both use. For those running these warming centers, they say the cold winter months are an important time for the community to come out and support one another.
Until you've been out there and been freezing and cold and without food, you don't realize the need.
Reporting, I'm Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now we have a list of warming centers in the 4 states that are open or plan to open on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. If your organization has a warming center and would like to be added to the list, just email our digital content manager, Stacy Strader. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Lori Horton is back in the studio with us with her recipe for a winter snowball cake. Welcome back. Lori is back with us sharing her recipe for a winter snowball cake this morning. Now we've made our cake box mix, and we've also made this little concoction here. Remind me of what this is again.
Yeah, so this is our filling that we're actually going to bake into the cake batter, and it's kind of somewhere between a cheesecake filling and that creamy filling. So all I did here was mix up a regular old box of chocolate cake mix, followed the directions to the back of the box. And you can do this actually bake this in the metal pan or a glass bowl if you really want to get like a snowball look to it. I'm going to go with my bundt pan this morning. And the biggest difference is just going to be your baking time. So what's going to be listed on our recipe when you check that out later on KOAM News Now, you're going to take about 10 minutes off of that if you bake it in a bundt cake as opposed to that, deeper middle of it, like a snowball shape. So we're going to just drop that in there, and then this mixture of our cream cheese and egg and a little bit of sugar, we're just going to kind of spoon in the center of that. And if you want to make it a little easier, if you're a little challenged when it comes to messes, you can actually put this in a sandwich bag and kind of pipe it into the middle of that if you want to really make it all precise. But otherwise you can just kind of spoon it in there. It doesn't have to be anything, because again, it's got an egg in it, so it's going to bake. It's not going to stay soft and creamy. If you're expecting to like cut into this and get that gooey, oozy center, that's not what we're making here. We're making that really nice sort of cheesecake filling in it, so it's going to be so yummy. But put that whole mixture in there. Don't stir it. Don't do anything else to it. You're going to pop that in the oven just like that, and it is going to bake. Come out. You're going to test it with a toothpick. It'll be a normal, simple bake on that.
Regular cake.
When we turn it out, and I'm going to try and see if I can do this without making too big of a mess. You will see the bottom of that cake. You can see that ring in the middle, right? Just looks like normal cake in there. So you'll turn it out of your pan. Look at that.
I know, beautiful.
I'm having a good Tuesday today. Stayed in one piece. So when we get that out of the pan, you want to let it cool for just a few minutes. You don't really have to level it or anything. As you see, that's straight out of the pan. Turn it out onto a rack, let it finish cooling. We're going to make a frosting for this next. And you want that cake to be completely cooled before you put any of that on, because it does have Cool Whip and milk. Needs to be nice and cool. So when we come back, we'll whip that up, spread it on, and finish off our coconut cake.
All right, looks delicious. Thanks, Lori. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Lori is showing us the finishing touches for this wonderful winter snowball cake. So what's left, Lori?
So all we've got left is to kind of make our frosting for the top and to kind of put those final little touches on there. So all I've mixed together here in my bowl is 1 box of French vanilla pudding, instant pudding. Make sure you get the instant pudding. Normal size box, a cup of milk, and I added in there just a little splash of coconut flavoring to that to kind of tie together with our coconut that we're going to put on top. So pretty quickly this is starting to kind of make our pudding consistency. So that starts to solidify pretty fast. So we are going to fold into that an entire tub of Cool Whip. So
that's a great combo right there.
It is. And for any of you that made those New Year's resolutions, it's been a week, right? We're done with that. Totally.
We'll try next year.
Yeah, small piece. Just have a small piece. We're going to fold that all together, and you don't have to be really gentle with this. This is not like folding in egg whites. We do want that to be fully combined, but we're just going to make sure that that French vanilla mixture really gets nice and smooth in there, and it's just going to make a lovely flavored Cool Whip essentially. This obviously is going to have to stay refrigerated once we get done with it, but it's just going to go so nicely with that coconut. If you really are all in on the coconut flavor, you could even start with your box of coconut pudding instead of the French vanilla. You could add a little bit of coconut flavoring to that cream cheese mixture that we baked into the cake, and really pull out more of that. It's a great combination with the chocolate. So, you know, I think
that classic snowball flavor.
You know, you really want to like color your coconut pink. You want to go all in. This would be great even coming up. I don't want to get too far ahead, but for Valentine's Day, you know, make it kind of fun. So if your professional baker had remembered to grab her spatula this morning, this would go a little bit prettier, but we're going to just do it. We're going to go all in and just really see how much of a mess we can make on this. We use the tools we have at the time, right?
The snow can be messy.
That's right. Still tastes good. That's the most important. But go gently, kind of put it around the edges in small amounts. When you get that totally covered, obviously we're going to cover this in just our regular sweetened flake coconut. And then what I brought to add to the center, to kind of take it from our kids' treat to more of just a nice dessert, is to add a few strawberries to the middle. And again, I just love that combination. You could do raspberries, you could do blackberries, but I think strawberries and coconut together are so yummy.
It's a little bit more of like that reddish pink of the traditional
exactly.
snowball too. Give it some color.
Get a little bit of that color together. So it is not going to hurt if we have a little showing through, but my OCD is not going to let me leave it like that this morning. So we're going to come around. This is nice and creamy. That coconut is going to stick to it easily. You can really coat the entire cake with it. And then, like I said, drop those strawberries in the center when you do that bundt cake, and it looks so pretty. And you can just make it a really pretty presentation. This would be great to take to somebody's house for dinner.
Yes.
And really just cut those nice small pieces for the new year.
Absolutely gorgeous. Well, thanks so much for being with us this morning, Lori. Happy to have you. Stick around. We're back with more news and weather right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:23 coming up on 7:24 on this Tuesday morning. We're starting with the future track. Now today and tomorrow are going to be nearly identical in terms of temperatures and sunny skies. The only difference is we're going to have a north breeze at 5 to 10 today, and tomorrow it'll be out of the northwest. In fact, it'll begin to shift out of the northwest later this evening into the overnight hours. Could have a couple of clouds to start the day, but otherwise clear skies and cold, just like we are right now, and it'll be cold again tomorrow. But we'll have plentiful sunshine, which will be nice. It just will be very deceiving because it will look a lot nicer than it will feel. So that also means, though, tomorrow night it's going to be cold again. But by the evening, take a look. The wind arrows are shifting, and overnight they're going to come up out of the south, and that's going to start to bring in a few changes. One, it's going to bring in slightly warmer air for us on Thursday. We'll also increase our cloud cover throughout the day on Thursday with that south wind, and there's a low pressure off to our south. Now, there's still some variances on this, and winter weather, we've talked about that too. Doesn't take much of a shift one way or the other for it to throw everything upside down. So there's two possibilities. One, this low pressure tracks a little further to the north. If it does, I think what the future track is showing is a bit more likely, and we'll start to see some snow. Now the temperatures are going to be, at least for snow, warm. We're talking at or even a bit above freezing. So we're looking at maybe a wet snow, which is great for making snowballs with, but it may not stick very well to places initially. However, it could also lead to some very slushy spots, which will mean more slick road conditions as we head into Friday morning. So as we head into Thursday afternoon and evening, snow rolls into the area, and it continues overnight into Friday. We'll have some light snow throughout the day Friday. If this low tracks a little further to the south, we won't get much. So this computer is thinking, or this computer's model here is thinking that the low is going to track a little further to the north. If it does, this is a possible scenario, and these numbers even will be fine-tuned. But if it tracks further north, we could be looking 1, maybe up to 5 inches of snow. It's a little backwards simply because this system's coming out of the south, not the north. Usually our snow systems especially come from the north. That's why we get more snow in the north and a little less in the south. Could be a little opposite of that as we head into the weekend, or into Thursday and Friday. The other computer, though, is thinking that the low may stay a little further south. And if it does, this is what it looks like in terms of those snow totals. Most of us under an inch, maybe a dusting of snow. So there's still some variables. And as you can see, they're pretty big because especially down here where it's showing anywhere, 4, maybe 5 inches. Well, this one says maybe half an inch. Big variances, a lot of details we've got to go over as we get a little closer, and of course we'll keep you updated. We have this sharp line almost just immediately northwest of I-44 where it is considerably colder, single digits, 5, Iola, Fort Scott, and Nevada. And you get a little south of that, and then it gets to be a little bit on the warmer side, and by warmer I mean it's 20 in Grove instead of, 5. The light breeze we have, not a major impact on wind chills, but in our western counties where it's colder, feels like 4 below. In the Yates Center in Iola, feels like 1 below 0 in Chanute. While mostly clear skies through the morning, clouds eventually continue to clear into the afternoon. 12 to start, 20 by 11 a.m. Highs today, upper 20s. Highs tomorrow, upper 20s. Overnight lows, teens, and then we get in Thursday and Friday. Early highs into the upper 30s. We'll watch those snow chances. We're okay on Saturday, just cold, and then maybe a few more flurries on Sunday. And then our temperatures staying below normal as we head into next week. That is a check of your forecast. We will be back with more right after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. I'm Elise Snowy. The Joplin Police Department announces the upcoming session of its Citizens Police Academy. The Academy is a 14-week program hosted by the Joplin Police Department. The class will cover a range of topics, including crime scene investigation, SWAT operations and equipment, use of force and canine introduction. And these free classes begin February 6th and run until the 8th of May. Now, we provided a convenient link to the application on our website, koamnewsnow.com. The Galena, Kansas City Council is trying to sniff out the source of an odor issue. In a meeting last night, the council agreed to ask the Kansas Department of Health and Environment to further investigate the cause of a sulfur smell that's prompted a number of citizen complaints. Now, the odor seems to be worse in an area north of 4th Street, not far from a landfill. Residents complain the smell seems to be strongest in the evening.
It's been off and on. It was just a little bit like in the past summer and stuff like that, and nothing really to worry about. But now it's just nonstop, and it's just whenever, because I'm on the south side of the landfill, and the wind blows from the north, we smell it.
The KDHE has previously determined the smell was not likely coming from the landfill, but the council is seeking a further investigation. Now let's check in with Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Look from downtown Pittsburgh. Take a look, just a couple of clouds here and there. Those will continue to clear. Roads are clear across the region, which is fantastic news, but it is very cold, and there's still a number of school closings across the area, especially in our zones where it is very cold this morning. It does look nice, though. It's just not feeling so nice. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. Again, roads relatively clear. You still want to watch out for some possible slick spots, especially on rural roads and side streets, those back roads where maybe they're not fully clear, maybe some melting took place and they weren't retreated. There could be some black ice potential out there, a few slick spots, but otherwise, for the most part, we're looking a lot better than we were yesterday morning. Across the area into the afternoon, we are looking at sunny skies by this afternoon. Temperatures, though, will not reflect all that plentiful sunshine. It will still be quite cold with a north wind at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. I'll, of course, begin to drop off in our temperatures later tonight. Not like it's very warm right now. It is 10 in Joplin, 7 in Pittsburgh right now. That's what I'm talking about. If you just straighten I-44 out as a straight line, northwest of that point, it is very cold. We are in the single digits for most of southeast Kansas, stretching into the northern parts of southwest Missouri. But then you get southeast of that, it's a bit warmer. Not by much, but a little bit. We're into the teens and right around 20 in Grove. Now, the winds aren't too terribly bad, nor will they be today, but with cold temperatures, it does not take much for there to be a bit of a wind chill. So it does feel a little colder. It feels like 0 in Independence, 1 below in Chanute, 4 below in Yates, Iola, and in Yates Center. Our highs today looking to make the upper 20s for most of us. Sunny skies, and again, that north breeze around 5 to 10 will make it feel a bit colder out there. Today is going to be the same as tomorrow, or tomorrow is going to be the same as today. Not much variance. And then we have some snow potential as we head into Thursday. Details on all that here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. While the recommendation is to stay home in treacherous conditions, some people don't have that option. A group of volunteers in Kansas City made a difference by offering rides to first responders in the middle of yesterday's storm. Fernanda Silva braved those same conditions for the story.
It was a stressful night for Dalao Abdugadir. After her Saturday shift as a nurse, her drive home was hectic.
I was driving on the road and my car slid. I couldn't even sleep, thinking about how I'm going to go to work.
Her stress was alleviated with the help of KC Off-Road.
It says 16 minutes, but it's probably going to be more like 20, 30. Go back that way?
Yeah, go back straight then.
Okay.
The group volunteers their time and their 4x4s on snowy days.
I mean, we need them. We need police officers. We need EMTs. We need nurses. They can't get around. We have four-wheel drive. We have Jeeps. We play around in this on a weekend. So we'll be willing to take them back and forth if we need.
As soon as 2 inches of snow hit the ground, the KC Off-Road Snow Squad hits the road.
You're right off of 29 North, right? Where your work's at?
You can go this way, Smithville.
Roads that can be tricky, but can also bring a sense of fulfillment.
At least for me, it makes me feel nice and happy because we're able to help out somebody that might not be as fortunate.
I have to go. I have a patient I take care of, and I know they need me, so I have to go.
A full circle situation for Delau, receiving help to help others.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now, if you are a first responder in the Kansas City area and need a ride, you can contact the group at KC Off-Road Adventure freely at gmail.com. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A California man uses his passion to transform his backyard into a dream world. In Consumer Watch this morning, the president of one of the top fighting companies in the country headlines new members of Meta's board of directors. The tech company says Ultimate Fighting Championship CEO Dana White has been elected to its board of directors. Meta says investor Charlie Songhurst and holding company Xr's CEO John Elkin will also join its board. The company says the new members will help it address opportunities with artificial intelligence and wearable technology. The U.S. government is suing a division of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, claiming it pushed borrowers into accepting unaffordable loans. Now, the lawsuit alleges the Department of Clayton ignored, quote, obvious red flags. Those seeking loans were unable to afford them. The lawsuit is seeking restitution for harmed borrowers and civil fines. Clayton is the largest builder of manufactured homes in the nation. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is resigning after nearly a decade in power. He joins a trend of incumbent leaders from around the world who have been pushed out over voter dissatisfaction. Eric Sean reports from New York.
I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election.
He was the young, liberal beacon for a neighbor to the north. But now Justin Trudeau is resigning as party head and as prime minister when a new liberal leader is chosen.
It has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
Trudeau was sunk by some of the same issues that defeated President Biden. He pressed a progressive agenda for 11 years, but anger over high prices and housing costs torpedoed his popularity. The frustration starting 3 years ago with the defiant Canadian truckers' protests over COVID-19 mandates and other issues. Trudeau's announcement comes just weeks after he met with President-elect Trump at Mar-a-Lago, with Trump threatening to impose tariffs as high as 25% on Canadian goods. Trump also mocking Trudeau as the governor of Canada, saying the country should join the U.S. Today, Trump posting, quote, many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. Trudeau is the son of iconic Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, who cut a flamboyant, jet-setting figure in the 1970s and 80s. The Liberals face conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, whose policies echo Trump's. He has blasted Trudeau for what he calls his, quote, extremely radical ideology. Elections now set for October will likely be moved up. Polls show the Conservative Party is trouncing the Liberals, ahead by nearly 30 points. In New York, Eric Sean, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 7:43 now on this Tuesday morning. This is the future track. It looks like it did before. We are looking at sunny skies into the afternoon. We'll have a north breeze around 5 to 10 miles an hour and very cold temperatures. But again, at least the winds won't be gusting. So even though it'll still feel a little colder, it won't feel as cold as it has the last couple of days. That'll, of course, lead to clear skies tonight, which will, again, lead to very cold temperatures overnight. The only difference really between today and tomorrow is the winds are going to shift out of the northwest for us, and that's really about it. We're otherwise looking at sunny skies again and temperatures hanging out in the 20s. Now, that's going to lead to another cold night Wednesday night into Thursday, but winds begin shifting by Wednesday evening, and overnight they come up out of the south. That'll bring in very slightly warmer air, and as we head into Thursday, it will also increase our clouds. So here's what we're looking at. We have a low pressure system. It's going to be off to our south. The question is, how far south? If it lifts a little further north, well, some of our southern counties especially could get a reasonable amount of snow. Not that crazy amounts, but something more than what we just got. If it drifts further south, we may not get much of anything, if anything at all. So we're going to take a look at those scenarios in terms of snow totals. The future track, this is what it thinks is going to be the scenario. As we head into Thursday afternoon, snow showers begin to roll into the area, and these will continue through Thursday evening and overnight and into Friday. The temperatures are going to be warm enough that this will very likely be a wet snow, which is good for making snowballs, but it could lead to a bit more slush buildup on roadways, leading to more slick spots as we head overnight Thursday and into our Friday. So, what are we looking at for snow? Now, this computer model believes that the low will be a little further to the north. If it is, this is not unreasonable. Now, these numbers will change between here and Thursday, but it's not an unreasonable expectation. The only oddity here is typically when it comes to snow, the higher amounts are north because those cold systems roll in from the north, but this one's coming in from the south. And so this is what we're looking at, maybe 1 to upwards of almost 5 inches of snow as a possibility. I want to emphasize the possibility these numbers will be refined, and of course we'll get better data over the next day or so here as we head into Thursday, so we'll have more information tomorrow. Now, the other computer model we use also suggests that we'll get snow, but it seems to believe that the low will stay further south. And this is the variance we're talking about. Look at the difference. So in our southern counties where we were at like 4 inches, well, now we're down to barely half an inch of snow. So we'll have to see exactly how that low tracks, because that will have a huge impact on what we do or do not see as we head into Thursday and Friday. I-44, if it was just a straight line, if you're northwest of that line, it is bitterly cold. It is 4 in Fort Scott. We're in the single digits in most of southeast Kansas and in parts of southwest Missouri. And then if you are to the south and east of that point, it's a bit warmer. Not by much, but hey, 10 degrees warmer is 10 degrees warmer. So we're into the teens and sitting at about 20 right now in Grove. With a light breeze, it doesn't take much with very cold temperatures to get a wind chill. So even in Grove, it feels like it's 12. Feels like 0 in Chanute, 2 below in Iola, 3 below in Yates Center. It does feel very cold across the area. It's going to be a cold one again today. A few clouds as we go through the morning, 12 to start. Eventually by 11 a.m. should be right around 20 degrees. And as we head into the afternoon, highs today, mid to upper 20s. That will repeat tomorrow. Again, cold tomorrow night. And we'll see how this system plays out Thursday and Friday for us. Cold, but otherwise okay on Saturday. Sunday, a little warmer. Could see a few evening flurries. And then we'll just kind of sit with below normal temperatures heading into next week. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
One man's backyard masterpiece is a labor of love, years in the making.
Jeff Nguyen shows us this extraordinary model train.
And the very beginning of the layout is way down here in San Diego, California. Rob Caves lives in Altadena's famed Christmas tree lane, where he has turned his backyard into a massive train set, highlighting some of the best-known landmarks between San Diego and Seattle's Space Needle. There is the San Clemente Pier, even bygone buildings like the old Fry's Electronics in Burbank, along with LA's Union Station and the train stations in Palmdale and Lancaster. I think the track represents places that we've all been. It brings back memories, whether it's camping as a kid or going to the beach and just seeing the trains and waving at the engineer. He first built the train set in his little garage in 2010. Did it all begin in this little garage?
It was a very small layout when we started, 20 by 20, and now it's grown into this 60 by 90 foot labor of love.
7.5-year-old Logan Montori is part of the Christmas Tree Lane Model Railroad Society.
Running trains is basically my favorite thing.
The club has about 50 members who maintain the set, which includes dirt from the Sierra Nevada and graffiti along the LA River. Tom Selinsky is a college business professor who says the trains are getting more high-tech.
There's microchips in these little engines that actually can do sounds, create different effects, and so it's becoming more digital.
Caves uses a 3D printer to make most of his trains, and he opens up his home to visitors every holiday season.
It just makes our day when we see the kids run up and want to see the trains, and you know what? Everybody's a big kid when they come here.
Just a few minutes here can certainly leave you with a one-track mind.
I mean, that's fantastic.
I love I love
cool.
trains myself, and so I'll go sometimes and intentionally look for trains. I take the kids to look for trains.
Yeah,
they're very cool. There's just something about them. They're so big and so powerful.
Right.
Like the ground shakes when you're standing by watching one go by. They're just awesome.
Absolutely.
Let me get this. There we are. This is good enough. Go back. There we are. All right, let's take a look at the future tracks. I want to talk about what we are expecting as we head into the afternoon. Today, we're looking at sunny skies, still cold out there. North winds around 5 to 10 miles an hour. And then it's going to get cold again tonight. Could have a couple of clouds, but I think overall our skies will be clear. The only difference between today and tomorrow is that we're going to see our the winds rather, out of the northwest instead of out of the north. Talking about temperatures, one more check here. It is 10 in Joplin, 7 in Pittsburgh, and again, the northwestern half of our area in the single digits. It's very cold out there. 4 in Fort Scott, 5 in Nevada. I think you get a little further south and east, it's a pinch warmer. We're up to 20 in Grove. And you factor in the wind, even a light breeze with these cold temperatures is enough to make it feel like 2 below in Iola, 3 below in the 8th Center, 0 in Chanute. We'll have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Police in Aurora, Missouri averted what could have been a deadly situation Sunday night. Authorities say a man entered the lobby of the Aurora Police and Fire facility armed with a handgun and threatening to shoot himself. Police were able to subdue him with a taser, and there is no word yet on formal charges. Authorities are investigating the cause of an early morning structure fire in Kendricktown, Missouri, just north of Carthage. Crews found smoke and flames coming from a large commercial building that used to be a semi-truck wash. Now, Carthage Fire confirms that a man tried to put out the fire before firefighters arrived and suffered burns to his head. He was taken to a Joplin hospital. We have a list of warming centers in the 4 states that are open or plan to open on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. We encourage people to call these locations and check on hours. If your organization has a warming center and would like to be added to the list, just email our digital content manager, Stacy Strader.
And it is going to be cold again today and tomorrow. Upper 20s, sunny skies and a north wind around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Into the night we go. It's still cold and still clear. 10 approximately for the low. Some a little colder, some a little warmer. Northwest winds 5 to 10. It'll be cold again tomorrow. 20s, teens tomorrow night. Then we're watching that possibility heading into Thursday afternoon and Friday for some snow. We have to see what this low does to determine exactly what we'll get, but something we want to keep an eye on. We're not bad for Saturday, just cold. And then we have a few flurries possible Sunday and staying cold as we head into the next work and or school week.
Alrighty. Well, the city of Wichita is providing its residents with some important information as well as having a little fun at the same time. Now, on the city website, you can see where the snowplows are currently working as well as the names of each plow.
Now, I saw this yesterday. Some of these names include Aaron Burr, Plowabunga, Pepe La Plow, Chill Bill, Darth Blader, and a number of other ones. So there are some very unique names. I think we need to start naming the snowplows in our communities here as well.
I think we should too. That'd be
I
fun.
think it would be fantastic. Well, Thankfully, they all did their jobs yesterday.
they
Got
did.
things
Yes,
taken care of for us, and things are looking better. In fact, so much so that we will be back today at noon with more news and weather.
Have a great rest of your morning.